good friends had been established, and I didn't start traveling over there till probably 87-ish. So a little bit of time with good times, but not very much, because the wall fell in Berlin.
Let's go to that. Now, this was not the, dagger in the back, but there was obviously rapid and rampant political change going on in the East. This was the fall of the wall, November 9th, 89. And this was the day before they started chiseling away with the guys on the wall being the east side and the guys here below the wall being the west, and the Brandenburg Gate famously showing its face, beautiful structure. And this was a wave that hit Europe, Eastern Europe. It started actually in Hungary, where one was allowed, for whatever reason, to go into Austria. And there were waves of people in Austria. This was earlier in '89. And then, the sort of fever spread. And the East Germans didn't really know what to do. And I'm sure you know the story. Karin can probably tell us that it wasn't a grand plan or even a authorized command that the gates would be open to the west, that is the West Berlin, but somehow communication got screwed up, and the word was, yeah, you could travel freely to West Berlin, you meaning all the East Berliners, and that set out and was, a flood. And before you know it, in October 3, 1990, was the reunification. Do I have the date right, Karin? Yeah. And that is the, what do you call it, auf Deutsch? Der Tag something. Ah, yeah, der Einheit. Wiedereinheit, yeah. Yeah, so that's a huge holiday in Germany. Now, what was going on here behind the true Iron Curtain? I mean, East Germany was behind the Iron Curtain, but wasn't a Soviet satellite. The ones that Poland, East Germany, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, were the conquered countries and part of the overall Eastern Bloc. But, you had the Ukraine, you had Belarus, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, the Baltic countries, etc. And then finally, it didn't really 100% open up in Russia until later. But the effect of all of this political change came in the aftermath of a very difficult economic period in the 1970s and afterwards. The productivity of that economy was all jammed up. It still was centrally managed, and they were struggling to find ways to at times, do you remember that there would be articles in the front page of the Plain Dealer about two things, I remember, on Sunday, that how many nuclear warheads does Russia have or Soviets have, and then the other thing is the great, wheat harvest that was a famine, in the Ukraine primarily. So Gorbachev, who took over in the 80s, introduced perestroika, which is loosely translated as restructuring. And he, with struggles, introduced that to the economy and also allowed for political change, and it started to happen but there was still a lot of resistance, and the economy really was at a standstill. And we weren't shipping any machines, for sure, for a number of years. And we had gotten to sort of rely on the Soviets, I think partly because competition emerged in Europe, in Belgium with Nedrov, Italy with SACMA, and we had, you mentioned it earlier. Did you mention it earlier in the movie? Your movie part. Yes, yeah, the script. The script said we had a 3-year backlog. Did we really?
That was in 72.
Yeah, but that's what that allowed is foreign competition to enter, because they could produce and ship machines much more quickly. So the seeds were being sowed to have a major slowdown in the German factory. And for some reason, and I don't know all this because I was more removed. I mean, I was part of still the family ownership of the company, but not anywhere close to management. We borrowed heavily in Germany money for cheap rates, I think, mainly. And without getting off into all the details, that borrowing in part funded the development of our very successful Formax equipment. Right?
True.
Right. So I think Mimi is standing up because she wants to give me the hook.
Okay, just
But
one final thing. I mean, obviously the Russian and USSR market went away, but so did the European market. Died at the time also, because all of Europe was servicing or selling into that market, the Russian market. And if you stop and think about it, when it was the Soviet Union, I mean, we might have sold 20 machines at a time, but it was sold to, the Soviet Union themselves. They had a purchasing block, and then they distributed the machines to the plants. We never knew where they went. So when that collapses, all of a sudden there's no purchasing people. I mean, there's not even anybody you can talk to at the individual plants. So that wasn't just National's problem, it was Europe's problem, and it devastated the economy in Europe at the time.
And we'll pick up on that when we return, but you want to give a break and a potty break, right? Do you want to announce that officially?
We're not going to get to the comment.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, as you all know, we typically take a 10-minute break. If we can make it a little bit shorter, I know this is fascinating. I don't want to rush you, but, hurry up. Come back.